You ever wonder how you can, headbang to your favorite song and somehow still keep your balance? Or how you can walk through a dark room without just toppling over? Well, it all comes down to this incredible, totally invisible nerve that's running the show for two of our most basic senses, hearing the world and moving right through it.
Okay, so let's get into it. We're talking about cranial nerve number 8. Now get this, it's one of 12 critical pairs of nerves that come directly out of your brain. And this one? It's pretty much the unsung hero of your entire sensory experience.
So, its official name is the vestibulocochlear nerve. Yeah, it's a mouthful, I know, but it's actually the perfect description. Cochlear has to do with the cochlea, that's your hearing organ. And vestibular, that's your vestibular system, which is basically your body's personal gyroscope for balance. So you've got sound and you've got equilibrium all packed into one single nerve.
So here's what we're going to cover in this explainer. First, we'll think of the nerve as a kind of hidden highway. Then we'll follow the journey of sound and get into the science of balance. After that, we'll look at what happens when things go wrong, and finally, how doctors can actually check that connection.
Really, the best way to picture this nerve is to think of it like a two-lane superhighway. It is constantly sending this massive flow of data from deep inside your inner ear straight to your brain, 24/7.
And this highway, it has two very distinct lanes. Lane 1, that's the cochlear nerve. It's carrying all the auditory details. That's our sound lane. And lane 2 is the vestibular nerve, carrying all the data about your head's position and movement. That's our balance lane. Two absolutely crucial jobs happening at the same time on one shared highway.
And this superhighway has a very specific on-ramp to the brain too. It connects right at the pontomedullary junction, which is a key meeting point in your brainstem. You can think of the brainstem as the main relay station that connects your brain to, well, the rest of your body. So this nerve is plugging in at an incredibly busy and critical intersection for all that neural traffic.
All right, let's merge into our first lane, hearing. We're going to follow a single sound wave and see how it takes this incredible journey to become something your brain actually understands as music or speech or, just noise.
So it all starts with these physical sound waves that travel into your inner ear, and they cause vibrations in the cochlea. Then, these tiny, super specialized hair cells inside a structure called the organ of Corti, they actually bend in response to those vibrations. Now this is the key moment. That movement triggers the cochlear nerve to fire off an electrical signal. Finally, that signal just zips down its lane to the brain, and the brain interprets it as sound. And just like that, a physical wave becomes a neural message. Pretty amazing, right?
Okay, let's switch over to our second lane and see how this all connects. This is the science of how you stay upright. The vestibular nerve is always working, always providing this steady stream of information that lets you walk and run and dance without even thinking about it.
See, your vestibular system has these amazing, specialized little sensors. The semicircular canals, they're for rotation. They tell your brain when you shake or nod your head. The utricle, that detects forward and backward motion, like when you're in a car that starts moving. And the saccule is all about vertical forces. It's what gives you that weird feeling in your stomach when an elevator suddenly starts or stops. And guess who the heroes are here? It's those incredible little hair cells once again. Just like in the cochlea, the fluid inside your vestibular system moves and bends these cells, and that's what activates the vestibular nerve. They are the crucial converters, these sensory receptors that send signals to the brain, turning physical motion into a language it can understand.
So we've got this beautiful, efficient, two-lane highway. But what happens when there's damage? A traffic jam or a pothole on this critical route? Well, the effects can completely turn a person's world upside down.
Yeah, damage to this one nerve can cause a whole mess of problems. If the balance lane gets disrupted, you can get vertigo, that awful false sense of spinning, or just lose your equilibrium. A problem in the hearing lane can cause hearing loss or tinnitus. And sometimes, you'll even see symptoms like nystagmus, where the eyes move involuntarily because that balance system is so tightly linked to how we control our eyes.
Now, because this nerve is so vital and the symptoms are so distinct, doctors have come up with some really clever ways to check the connection and see if that neural highway is clear. One of the classic, simple tests is called the Rini test, and it just uses a tuning fork. A doctor will test your hearing through the air right next to your ear, and then they'll test it again by putting the base of the tuning fork on the bone right behind your ear. By comparing how you hear through the air versus through the bone, they can start to figure out where the hearing problem might be. Is it in the nerve itself, or is it a physical problem with the ear conducting the sound?
Of course, a full workup is way more comprehensive than that. It involves looking inside the ear, testing how well the eardrum moves, directly measuring the responses from those tiny little hair cells, and doing detailed hearing tests to map out exactly what's going on. The whole point is to check every single part of the pathway, from the outside world all the way to the brain.
So the vestibulocochlear nerve, it is constantly, silently, building your perception of sound and space. It's a perfect example of how your entire reality is built on these biological signals you never consciously see or feel. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other hidden connections are shaping your world right now?